Thanks very much, Esther. Rory, do you have that PowerPoint? Uh, Thanks. Yeah, and I'll not bore you to death with PowerPoint here, folks. You're okay. But I did want to just outline a number of examples of the barriers and the anti-union activity, especially by employers, but also with the weak legislation that we have as well. We over the past number of years, we've had major disputes in a number of leading employers in Ireland. We had disputes with Tesco, Dunn's, and Lloyds Pharmacy, just to name three in the last 2 or 3 years. Um, can you just go on there to the next slide? Just thanks. Employment law in Ireland, our labour laws are probably amongst the worst labour laws in the European Union. There is a constitutional right to join a union in Ireland, but very often it's frustrated, it's discouraged, or it's even penalised by employers. The industrial relations system that operates in Ireland is a voluntarist system, which, as most of you will know, takes two to tango. And there isn't two tangoing at the minute. There's just one, and that's the union side, who are constantly being left out in the cold. There is no social partnership model in the Republic of Ireland at this point in time. So there's no legal right to collective bargaining. There's no right to access workers in their place of work. There's no right to trade union deductions at source. There's extremely weak anti-victimisation and very weak unfair dismissal policies. And employers in retail over the course of the last 10 years have become increasingly anti-union. And I just want to give you a number of examples quickly. I don't have much time, but I want to give you a couple of examples and a taste of what it's been like for us in Ireland over the course of the last number of years. Can you just press that again, please, Rory? You just take it to the end of the slide if you don't mind. Like, thanks. So back in 2000, this is the first experience that Mandate had with a systematic and determined union busting campaign by a company, Lifestyle Sports, back in 2000, where we had 600 members. We had a closed shop agreement with the company. But in 2008, 2009, they stopped that arrangement unilaterally. We now have 20 members. And those workers that work in Lifestyle from being on union contracts are now predominantly on the minimum wage, and the conditions are very poor. But the problem for us was with Lifestyle Sports, we had a passive membership. And we had a membership that was handed to us by a closed shop arrangement, which meant that it was extremely difficult for us then to do anything progressive in a short period of time. And we ended up now where we are at the minute, which is actually we have less than 20 members now, and it's a to our eternal shame, I should add, that we haven't restored that to a union shop just as yet, but we're working on that. Can you just move on there for me, Roy? Thanks. Some of you may know about Dunn Stores. Dunn Stores is an Irish company. They are the largest indigenous supermarket retailer on the island, and they have a long history of anti-union behaviour. Our officials and our union organisers are barred from entering any Dunn Stores premises, and if they enter a Dunn Stores premises unannounced, the employer will call the police. There have been threats. There has been victimisation of union reps. We had a national strike a number of years ago, and we commenced our campaign then at that point in time to win legislation to grant guaranteed hours to workers who had established a pattern of work for over 12 months. So if you just move on to the next slide, Rory. We launched a campaign called Secure Hours Now, Decency for Dunn's Workers. This is a company that does not collectively bargain. This is a company that refuses to recognise the union. So our members led a campaign for 4 years on guaranteed hours, which we called banded hours, which meant that they were going to be guaranteed a secure income over their working week. And it would allow them to manage their lives much better. So we actually won. We're one of the first, I think, if the first European country to introduce banded hour contracts for retail workers and other workers as well. We expanded it beyond retail, and it cuts across now both the public and private sector. It's a piece of legislation called the 2018 Miscellaneous Provisions Act. and it has also reduced zero-hour contracts and the proliferation of zero-hour contracts use in Ireland. And our members won that. It was a very much a worker-led campaign, and with no assistance really whatsoever from the employment side.
Brian, I'm just flagging to you, we're already at 8 minutes, so your edit
Sorry,
radio
yeah,
have to limit,
we'll
so you're
flick
going to
on
have
here. Esther, yeah, sure, thanks. We had a dispute with Lloyds and Mckesson Corporation, the fifth largest. We had pharmacists and pharmacy workers who were dealing with, as you know, sick people, and they had no sick pay scheme themselves, and they were afraid to take a day off when sick. So we launched a campaign there, and in response to our campaign, the company established an internal committee of staff to try to replace the union on the ground, which they weren't successful with. The next one, please, Rick. Tesco, a lot of you will know Tesco. They launched a Project Black Eversheds, helped them with that, the union busting firm. It was years in the planning and also years in the execution. We had a national strike in 2017, a very good relationship with the company up until then, but the company then just walked away from all our collective agreements and actually disciplined workers and targeted reps for spurious reasons during a campaign. And that's some of the sort of issues there on that slide. If you want to just move to Paddy Power very briefly on Paddy Power, the take on to the next one. We had an anti-union bookmaker in Ireland. Gambling's a lucrative business in our country, but so is refusing their workplace their legal entitlements. And Paddy Power is a very anti-union company. So until we started to organize around the refusal that they would give a proper lunch break to workers, they threatened the union with legal letters and they threatened the union with police. Our organizers were targeted when they went in to talk to workers, and the police were called on several occasions. There was a worker-led campaign, and we're now in the process of delivering on that campaign in terms of a living wage and proper pay scales. And finally, just on slide 10, the new deal for retail, it's our answer, Esther, to the sort of what do we do next? It's Congress and Mandate and SIP2 and Unite and a number of other unions across Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland had launched this campaign 2 days ago. It's been designed from membership surveys that we had conducted, and it will help the sector recover a new deal for workers and seek collective bargaining and improvements in pay and benefits. So it's a collective effort by all retail unions